Hi, folks. Thanks for watching my monologue. As America starts to reopen, just remember that guns, etc., never closed. They still have over 10,200 square feet of ammo, firearms, and accessories, including safes, and they remain open for business. Stop by their huge store in Mesa or just click on gunsetcetera.com. And if you like my monologues, please subscribe to 960 The Patriots YouTube channel. Thanks. Welcome back and happy June 12th, 2020. There's a lot of self-flagellation going on right now. A lot of prostration, a lot of apology, a lot of bending, a lot of kneeling. Count me as one who will not yield and who will not kneel. Will not kneel in front of or because of America, or in front of or because of my fellow Americans, especially before those who do not understand America. I will not kneel and I will not apologize for being an American. I love it and I wish more did. I will not kneel because America is less than a perfect country, because I do not choose to live in a racist country. I have the full freedom of not only speech and religion, but travel. With that last one, the freedom to travel, I do not choose to live as I choose to live here in a racist country. I would never choose to live in a racist country. If I thought this country were racist, I'd leave it. I do note other countries, unlike this one, do not have immigration problems. Many of them have emigration problems. America, surprise, surprise, does not have an immigration problem. Oh, sure, a lot of people have threatened to leave this country because they do not like the political wisdom or choices of their fellow Americans. Funny thing, they never do leave this country. Take that to mean they do not have the courage of their convictions or believe what they say. Look around the world and I ask the question Daniel Moynihan asked. Is America an imperfect place? You bet. Find me a better one. And I think that's the point many miss. Michael Novak put it this way: to know oneself is to disbelieve utopia. What did he mean and what was he getting at? Sure, of course, many of us would like to live in a perfect place. But we know places are steered by, governed by fellow humans. And our fellow humans are fallible. They are imperfect. And if we're being honest with ourselves, no matter how good we are, no matter how strong our self-esteem, no matter how great our arrogance, we know we individually too are actually imperfect. No one translates those imperfections across the universe of people and doesn't think that there are people who are perfect. The important thing is to translate our own imperfections across the universe of people and know quite quickly that utopia is impossible because everyone is imperfect. So the mature way to look at things is the way Moynihan did. I'm not embarrassed to live in or speak up on behalf of a less than perfect country, nor am I embarrassed to live in or speak up on behalf of or honor a less than perfect country that is the best there is, and that millions of Americans before me have given their lives to protect. I will not kneel on behalf of such a place or apologize for it. My grandfather moved here from Russia at the turn of the 19th century. He fled Russia because he knew what tyranny and anti-Semitism was. He knew what he faced from Cossacks and Tsarist militants and decided to move to the place that said all were equal here. He braved the uprooting of his life, moved here, and fought on behalf of this country by going back to Europe in an American uniform in World War I. My dad, his son, he was born here. He faced what he called a lot of anti-Semitism, and he lied about his age so that he too could wear the uniform of this country and go abroad to fight for it and the rest of humanity in World War II, and he did. Did he face anti-Semitism in the Army Air Corps too? You bet. Did he blame America or the majority of Americans or the Army Air Corps for it? Not one whit. He gave or would give the same answer Joe Louis would give when he was asked how he could fight for the United States in World War II when his own country was discriminatory. You know what Louis said? He said, with all the problems in the United States, I know Hitler won't make them better. There ain't nothing wrong with America that Hitler can fix. These were young and yet mature men who knew that if the country was racist or bigoted or anti-Semitic, they wouldn't be able to thrive in it. They knew that pockets of racism or bigotry were aberrations not the crux or the DNA of this country. They would not kneel or take a knee or apologize for America. They fought for it. And I will not kneel or take a knee or apologize for America either. Even though, yes, I too have experienced aberrational bigotry. As a young boy in an elite private school, a bigger guy, older than me, would call me the name that is the equivalent of the N-word for Jews. Did I think the whole school was bigoted? Did I think the state was? Did I think my country was? I did not. Did I think he had a problem? Yes. I think that he was more than problemed. I wasn't a particularly religious person in my youth, but I've come to understand the difference between the main theme and story and the asterisk and aberration, and never to confuse the two. Do you know the story of Ruby Bridges? It's a pregnant one, full of so much meaning. She's the little black girl Norman Rockwell painted, being escorted to her desegregated school in Louisiana, escorted to school by federal marshals. The federal marshals were sent in by Dwight Eisenhower. So don't tell me a president can't send in federal troops to enforce laws. Don't tell me a president needs the request or permission of a governor to send in federal troops to enforce laws. I can guarantee you the segregationist governor of Louisiana did not ask President Eisenhower to send in federal troops to oppose his segregationist and anti-integrationist views and policies in Louisiana. Anyway, Ruby Bridges, 6 years old, dressed for school beautifully, every day, and she was pelted and shouted at as the armed U.S. Marshals escorted her to school. She said every day as she walked to school and back home that she said a prayer. She said, "Please, God, forgive those men because they don't know what they're doing," close quote. Did she hate this country? Did she think her country was racist? She did not. She thought some lousy aberrants and exceptions were doing things to her because they did not know what they were doing. 6 years old. I wish more of us were as sophisticated now as she was at age 6. Did I get refused jobs because of my background? I know I did. Did I think my country was bigoted as a result? I did not. Do I kind of weep and die a little bit every time I see Louis Farrakhan or his Nation of Islam venerated in memorials or on stages or in speeches, marches, or moments supposedly dedicated to civil rights? I do. He who calls Jews vermin and worse, you bet I do. Do I think my country bigoted and racist and refuse to stand up to honor it because of that, because of him? I do not. I know they know not what they are doing or saying, and that they are the problem, not this country and not the vast majority of my countrymen. Do I lament too many African Americans harbor such bigotry in their community and support him? You bet. Does it make me think ill of African Americans? Not 1/2 millimeter of a second. Did I learn about Martin Luther King Jr. at a young age? I did. Did it inform me so much that when his holiday was canceled in our state, and I led a protest my senior year in high school that led the principal to threaten me with not graduating? Did that happen? You bet it did. Did that principal say bigoted things to me? Not about my skin color, but about my religion? Yes, he did. Was it worth it that I still led that protest and almost got expelled and wasn't able to graduate? Yes, it was. Did I think my school racist or bigoted because that principal said nasty and bigoted things to me and threatened me? No, I did not. I knew he knew not what he was doing and speaking of, and that he was the aberrant one, not I. This is why I will never take a knee or kneel on behalf of my country. Did I understand what Bobby Kennedy meant when he told a large gathering of black people not to hate white people because a white man killed Martin Luther King? You bet I did. Because Bobby Kennedy pointed out that a white man killed his brother, too. And it wasn't because of the perpetrator's skin color. It was because of the hate or animus in his mind and in his soul. Did I understand not to hate all people of Arab descent because a Palestinian committing the first act of Arab terrorism in the United States killed Bobby Kennedy? You bet I did. I learned to hate terrorism. I never learned to hate all Arab people. And neither did this country. You know why? Because we humans were given a gift of discernment, to know how to distinguish between good and bad, evil and decent, violent and peaceful. We know how to distinguish between Hitler and Churchill. We know how to distinguish between Thomas Sowell and Louis Farrakhan. We know how to distinguish between America and China, or we used to. I still do. That's why I will not kneel. I will not apologize. I will not prostrate myself. I will celebrate and always stand for a country whose founders said things like, quote, I believe in the equality of man, and I believe that religious duties consist in doing justice, loving mercy, and endeavoring to make our fellow creatures happy. Thomas Paine. I will celebrate and always stand for a country whose founders said things like, quote, slavery is such an atrocious debasement of human nature that its very extirpation, if not performed with solicitous care, may sometimes open a source of serious evils. Benjamin Franklin. I will celebrate and always stand for a country whose founders said things like, quote, there can be no truer principle than this, that every individual of the community at large has an equal right to the protection of the government. Alexander Hamilton. I will celebrate and always stand for a country whose founders said things like, quote, all possess alike liberty of conscience and immunities of citizenship. It is not now more that toleration is spoken of, as if it was by the indulgence of one class of people that another enjoyed the exercise of their inherent natural rights. For happily the government of the United States gives to bigotry no sanction, and to persecution no assistance. George Washington. I will always stand for, and I will never kneel in front of or on the soil of a country that uniquely went to war against itself, shedding the lives of hundreds of thousands of our own countrymen to end slavery. I will always stand for, and I will never kneel in front of or on the soil of a country whose battle hymn carries the lyrics, as he died to make men holy, we shall die to make men free, which is what those hundreds of thousands who extirpated slavery here sang as they marched to war. I will always stand for, and I will never kneel in front of or on the soil of a country that liberated the rest of the world from true and mass bigotry and racism that would burn out all the moral lights. I will always stand for, and I will never kneel in front of or on the soil of or apologize for a less than perfect country. I myself know I am imperfect. I myself know there is no greater, more non-racist, more non-bigoted, more enlightened country in the world. A country that has given refuge, relief, and rights to more people than any other in history. In short, I will not be forced to hate this place or my fellow countrymen. I will love it, and them. I will love the same country Martin Luther King called beautiful and magnificent. I'm Seth Leibson. I'll be right back.